Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of A Coffee with Chris, the social media show that helps you create impact, as always brought to you in association with our charity partners 𝗖𝗵𝗁, who help local people affected by cancer, and Game Plan Coffee, Paddy and Scott's very special coffee partnership with the High Performance Foundation. Every single bag of this stuff you buy helps support the work of the High Performance Foundation, funding programs that help young people across the UK not just survive in life but thrive. So if you're like me and you love Addicted to your coffee, and you believe in giving young people a fair shot of their own high performance, then grab yourself a bag of Paddy and Scott's coffee today. I've already had too much of it. Of course, this podcast is also sponsored by 𝗖𝗵𝗁𝗵𝗀, Mindset HR, and Limitless Film and Media. Let's welcome today's guest, Group Creative Director at Ocean Holidays and public speaker, Gary Gumbleton. Gary leads Ocean Studio, in-house creative function behind video, photography, audio, live content, and design across multiple travel brands within the Ocean Holidays group. This guy knows everything about everything, in my opinion. Gary, welcome to the show. Just to kick off, why do you think it's important that we talk about the state of marketing in 2026?
Well, firstly, thanks for the massive intro there. Right, I'm going to have to try and fill some boots. Thank you. State of marketing. I think the issue or the time we live in at the moment is that people can't handle the pace of change. And I think, what with AI and the amount of brands that are coming out, the amount of startups, the amount of businesses, the amount of marketing in general, it's so noisy. There's so many mistakes being made, and there's so many things changing daily that we need to call out people that are good and people that are shit.
I can't wait for this episode. You've teamed me up nicely there, Gary. It's as if you do podcasts quite often with more tools, platforms, and content and AI than ever before. Do you think marketing has got better, or have people just got good at producing more noise?
Yes and no, right? I think the good marketers know what they're doing. I think the more content isn't a strategy, right? More content is just more content. And what AI is doing, and what all these new platforms are doing, is it's allowing, firstly, from a positive note, a level playing field for all agencies, right? Your agency, our next agency, and I think it allows the small 5 to 10 people agencies to really compete against kind of the mid and the WPPs of the world, right? Because they have access to research and creative design and storytelling functions and stuff like that. So from a positive perspective, it levels the playing field in smaller agencies coming up to the mid and the higher tier, right? But what it also does is it allows shit marketers to make more shit marketing. Right, you'll see, and everybody listening, everybody watching, will look at the AI slop design era that we're going through, right? And what that shows is, people are like, oh God, when designers are running, they're missing out on all of these contracts that people are making this AI design. It's like, well, not really, because that Joe Plumber wouldn't have gone to a designer to create that poster. They would have done it themselves, and it would have looked like shit. It would look like Microsoft Paint, right? So now, yes, at least it's a bit better than MS Paint, but we're in this era now, and I even saw my local pub today. And I really respected the local pub. It was such a nice pub that they put out an AI slot poster of Tuesday taco night. So unfortunate. So yes, from a positive perspective, it evens the playing field from an agency, but from a negative perspective, it increases poor output. There's just more rubbish. So there are lots of other things to do with AI that can really help you, but they're the kind of the two key things, really, I think.
We've heard plenty of the dark side of things, and you've gone into AI already in a breaking record time. I knew we would go there. I think it's important, though, that people consider it and consider your wisdom there, Gary, for sure. When you look at the businesses that are doing things right, though, in 2026, What are they doing that the people that are flinging out AI stock, for example, what are they doing the businesses that are getting right on social media within their wider marketing that others don't have?
So the biggest use, or the thing that people are getting right when they're using AI is what I call DBC, data-backed creative. Right. And it's very difficult for me as a creative that loves getting the crayons out and in a dark room and, coming up with ideas and stuff like that. It's very difficult for me to say, start with the data, but that's what defines good versus great. And I don't mean that from a vanity metric perspective, like, oh, we're now able to do 30 videos a month or we're getting 5,000 views. It's actually like objective based. So is it achieving better leads, not just more leads, quantity versus quality. So I think looking at the data is now way more accessible. You can use your AI agent, and I've got a whole team of AI agents I've built myself, right? And they have APIs into different websites and different databases, and they can go and scrape websites, etc. So the things that people are doing right, or the businesses that are getting it right, are the ones that are using AI as a foundational platform, not an output. You know what I mean? So, if you see an AI made video, there are a couple of good AI videos. I think there's like a Honda one with the wheel going through different, goes through different generations. But you'll see a lot of AI videos that are super rubbish, right? So in my suggestion, use AI video, for example, to create the storyboard, to get your stakeholder buy-in. And really nail the final output. So right, I really need to get this talent in this scene because this is what it looks like. And if you have that authenticity and realness, that's how you're going to be unique. And that's the other thing, and I'm rambling now, but the what differentiates good between great is the unique and authenticity element. That's what the future of competing against other people using AI is going to be, right?
Love that. Amazing. I'm really, really pleased you've shared I'm always open to a Gary ramble. Speaking of Gary rambles, and you've mentioned that medium, in very important medium, video. You've created video for years. It's how I connected with you originally all those years ago, probably too many years ago now. It's how I've stayed in touch with you. I've always been interested in what you've got to say on video. It's been a recurring conversation on Coffee with Chris, is the importance of getting on camera, but you're just so natural with it, Gary. And I want to know, like, how does one do that effectively for business, but in a way that doesn't give yourself the ick? Because I think business owners think like they need to be a cringy influencer, but it just feels like really natural. So what tips and tricks do you have to share on that?
Yeah, man, I've got a bunch of actionable things here. So one thing is you don't have to. Right? You don't have to make video, right? And I think there is, we all know what UGC is, user generated content. That's where you get your audience to create your content for you. But you can also look at EGC, employee generated content. So if it's not you, you might have an employee that might be better. It's usually a salesperson. They're usually gift of the gab kind of stuff. Me, I played in a band in a past life, right? So I'm used to playing in front of crowds of 500 to 3,000 people. So I've now retired that side of my life. So this is almost like me being a corporate rock star, right? I don't care, how cringy that sounds, but this is me being on stage in front of 3,000 people, right? Although, to that point is that there might only be 3 people listening, or there might not be anybody listening. So in terms of a tip, or a few tips, is that if you record yourself on video, no one's going to see it unless you post it, right? So don't worry about it. Just record yourself, watch it back. If you think it's rubbish, don't post it, right? And then there's 3 kind of like techniques you can go through to get yourself to feel different about yourself, right? So the way you perceive yourself is different to what other people perceive you, right? So you go, oh, I don't like my voice. It's like, well, you're hearing your voice how you hear it, not how other people hear it, right? So what you do is you record a video and you turn it upside down and listen to it. Then you play the video back on mute. And then you kind of assess yourself. Go, oh, do I look? You block out the other senses so you can really hone in. And the other one, also framing. So this is a really practical tip. Is what I call the teddy bear strategy. Is actually put a teddy bear on the chair that you're sitting in, record, and you talk out loud as if you're miming for the bear. And at least then you hear yourself talking, and you see another person there. So you almost kind of have like this outer body experience, for want of a massive phrase, to be able to assess yourself. So the key thing is no one cares, right? No one cares at all. 5 people are going to see it. And if only 5 people see it, only one of those people needs to ring you up and book a meeting or book a whatever, right? You don't need 5,000 views. Don't worry about it. I think you should see my camera roll, man. My camera roll is just like 50 takes of the same video, like looking like this, right? Everyone makes mistakes. You only ever see the final output. You only ever see the final polished 30-second video. And even then, authenticity and being unique, leave in the swear words, leave in the stutters, leave in the fact that you dropped your notes, etc. So my biggest message to anybody who wants to make video but is scared to is that no one cares. Just do it. JFDI, right? You know what JFDI means?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Just do it, right?
Oh, God, it's so good, Gary. So much of it is a mindset game, isn't it? And I think there's. I love the teddy bear technique. That's something. It's the first time we've spoken about teddy bears on the podcast. Gary, can you give us an example of a brand, a business, a campaign perhaps that you've seen this year, where you go, that's a business doing marketing right, and it's for this reason? I'd be really interested if you could maybe pull one out of your brain for that. It might even be one of yours.
Yeah, it's absolutely one of mine. And I think, rather than to, kind of go back through what's happened this year, because so much has happened, I think, what we're missing is storytelling nowadays. And I think, you look back almost like pre-2020, where there was, if we go way back, we've got the 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀 family. And we've got those Vodafone adverts, and I think it's Renault with Nicole and Papa. These adverts had a story arc. They were episodical. They kept on moving, right? And throughout years. And I think that's what we're missing at the moment. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any that are kind of done this year, but almost like previously on, or that kind of stuff. I want to see episodical content, and I go, if we catch it later, I talk about what people aren't doing right. In terms of like one key thing I'd like to change if everybody just listened to me for 1 second, right? But I think it's more the story or episodical based content, because you can't just throw one ball and you've won the game. Right, you've got to throw loads of balls and catch loads of balls and drop loads of balls too, right? Gosh, analogy, far out. But it's about, for me, everything that I create is episodical. It's got to have a story. It's got to have a start, a middle, and an end.
Yeah, that's so good. Do you know what's really interesting as well is I don't know if you've been kind of keeping in check with what Meta are up to. They're always doing loads of weird and wonderful things, and sometimes it's crazy and sometimes it's quite good. One of the things that they are developing and potentially bringing into play with Instagram is this ability to have episodical content, right? So it's almost like playlists on YouTube, but for Instagram. And I think that's a really good message for people to take away is what can you make into an episode for your brand, your business? I think that's a really good shout. We've already spoken about AI, Gary, but we have to talk about it with regards to the future, because we are going to see more of it.
Yeah.
Do you think that some businesses need to maybe be more human? And I hate the fact that I've just asked that question, but I just see all of the businesses that I see, in my feed at least, doing well at the moment, are the ones that are like doing really stripped back, authentic, iPhone shot video content. It's not this kind of preened, polished, perfect, AI created carousels. It's actually just like the real stuff. So do you agree with that, or am I on the wrong train of thought there?
No, it's the only way you can guarantee success is if you operate in a market that doesn't exist. And if everyone's pushing AI and polish, and you have the ability to create cinematic content at the level of like Mercedes, posh car, driving through valleys, etc., then what you need to do is zag, right? You need to pick up the phone and have the shake and have that rawness and have the mistakes, because that's what is going to separate you at the moment. I'm not saying you've got to be authentic. We're going to go through waves, right? I think we will have a big glossy, production level from everybody. But to separate you from the rest of the pack, you're going to have to pick up the mobile phone, have poor audio, have poor lighting, because people want to see or are triggered in a positive way by a human, authentic, unique element to it, right? And I think my biggest forecast, whatever you want to say, is events. I think events in real life, in-person events are going to be the biggest anti-AI movement that any business can get up on. I think even if you're a plumber, I think, yes, use AI to help with your back end of your back office and your, creating beautiful looking quotes, but create a plumbers conference, I just think that, I don't know if you've seen that men with ponytails or something like that. It's kind of kicked off in a pub where these two guys, they got trolled by some manosphere guy and Andrew Tate, and now they all meet. They've got like this national men talking about mental health, but they practice doing ponytails for their daughters.
Oh, I have seen it. I have seen it.
Yeah. And so I think in real life, in-person events are the next trend to jump on, as well as episodical TV network-based content for small businesses.
And surely that dovetails into community building and taking and this is the thing that always blows my mind when I consult with businesses and I look after their social strategy, etc. I'm saying, have you actually tried moving people from online to in real life, right? And telling them to do something for real, in person. And it's remarkable how many businesses don't do that. So I quite like your forecast there around events. And Gary, I'm gonna have a bit of fun here. How does a business stand out in 2026? There's so much noise. We've already said AI so many times. So if you were to rock up now with a new business, a new brand, a clean slate on social media, what would you do to help them stand out? I know obviously there's so many variables here in terms of the market and things. Perhaps maybe the platforms or maybe the techniques or the strategies that you would use?
Yeah, there's one big one that I've been using for ages and it works really well for the brands that I've done it for, and it's very simply called the TV network strategy, right? And that's treat your business like you're a TV network, and you just happen to sell your product as advertising for the side of it, right? So you have like channels, BBC One, BBC Two, BBC Three. You have seasons, let's say Planet Earth, and then you have episodes, and then that might be, I don't know, crocodiles, whatever it is. So that's like a TV network. So, and as a small business, what you should have is objectives instead of channels, or that's what your small business channel should be. So let's say raise brand awareness, sell more product, community involvement, right? So let's say sell more product. That's one of your channels. Underneath there, you'd have a season of episodes, right? And it might just be that halfway through that episode, you'd have a little advert about your actual product that you're selling. You look at Red Bull, for example. There are no Red Bull cans on their Instagram page, right? They are a sponsorship company. They just happen to sell Red Bulls off the side of it. So really what we're doing at one of the brands, Winged Boots, which is a personal travel management company for ultra high net worths, is that we've come up with a thing called Winged Boots Originals, our original. And basically what it is, it's kind of like a Netflix, but for ultra high net worths. So we're creating shows that they actually want to watch, right? Not adverts. We're not talking about ourselves. One of them is called The Travel Table. So that is like, it's a food and wine show, a bit like the Sunday brunch with Tim and Simon, right? We have a sommelier, we have hosts, and we have relevant guests, and we talk about. Episode 1 was South Africa, and it's an itinerary, and we talk about wines in the different regions, and we have little nibbles, and we have a hotel partner and stuff. And really, that is just a half an hour, 45-minute food and wine show, but we've just got the Wing Boots logo in the background, right? And another one I'm trying to get off the ground is what I call out of office, where the MD will go and play golf with one of his clients, right? And one of our audience don't have much time, right? They're very time poor. That's why they use personal travel managers. But what they do have time for is golf. And they will watch a golf show. They won't watch Jay McDonald dancing on a cruise ship, right? So what we're doing is we're creating a golf show, and we just happen to have Wing Boots brand awareness in the background, right? So it's about creating stuff that people want to watch. It feels so 101 that I'm saying this out loud, but just stop creating adverts, right? I think if you talk about yourself all the time, you're not going to get conversion.
I couldn't agree more, Gary. Don't get me wrong. I think what you've suggested there is probably easier for B2C than B2B, perhaps. But yeah, I definitely love what you're thinking there. That's going to be a big step for some businesses, but perhaps that's why they should engage with someone like yourself, Gary. I'd love to have an episode 2 to talk about the mistakes to avoid, but I'm very aware of time, etc. So I want to almost tease people that might come in the future. You've shared so much wisdom here. I'm so grateful. Where can people find you, connect with you, consume more of your Garyisms?
They are more than welcome to come and follow me on LinkedIn, right? Like I said, it's like /Gumbleton. You know, there's not many Gary Gumbletons in the world, right? Personal branding's big, so if you look at my profile picture, this is what it looks like, right? You can't miss me. And I'm happy to chat. I'm happy to help. Like I said, I've got so many ideas. It's like a murmuration, all the birds flying around, and it's difficult for me to grab these ideas and put them in a row. So if I can help people with ideas, I'm one of the top 1% people of using AI. I've got my own open claw, and I've got if people ask me how many people do I have on my team, I say I've got 3 humans and 6 agents, and the ability to create. I could create anything you wanted in like 30 minutes. And the trouble we have now is that I'm only limited to my imagination. And that is huge, right? That's almost an issue, because I'm out at 2 a.m. vibe coding CRMs that no one's going to use, right? And that's the issue, because I can create anything now that my mind can come up with, and my mind can come up with quite a lot.
Gary, thank you. My call to action for people tuning in is, when I need marketing inspiration, I check out Gary's LinkedIn profile. He's always saying something interesting, thought-provoking, valuable, entertaining. And I think a big problem with marketing in 2026 is the fact that so much of it has gone dry. It's with this weather, this dry weather. That's a good analogy. Everything's dried up. Everything's brown and dead. And I think going to an account like Gary's and checking out what he's talking about, what he's doing, what he's suggesting, I think is a great way to reignite your marketing strategy. Gary, thank you so much for your time today. I'm incredibly grateful.
No worries. Thanks very much for having me.
And thank you so much to everyone watching live, watching back, listening back. If you've enjoyed this Coffee with Chris, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe, read social media, get involved in the conversation, ask Gary a question in the comments. I'm sure he'll get back to you. And for now, I will see you this time next week for another episode